When you think of the most watched sport in the world, do you think of soccer? You should. Over 1.5 billion people tuned in to watch the 2022 World Cup final, which is considered to be the biggest game in the sport. Many of us have either played soccer at some point in our lives or know someone who played soccer. It's likely you've seen a game on TV or possibly in person. Soccer is very widespread in the US. I've been playing soccer for almost 15 years now. I've watched many games in person and even more on TV. I currently play for the men's soccer team here at NKU. I'm sure all of you know of at least one person who plays soccer or loves soccer. Wouldn't it be nice to understand what they're talking about whenever they bring up soccer? Today I'll explain 3 things about soccer. Number 1 is the history, number 2 is what it looks like today, and number 3 is the global impact that it has. The origins of soccer are very interesting. Red Bull, a company that is heavily involved with soccer, says that the earliest version of soccer was played in many different places. It's said that the Aztecs played it 2,000 years ago with a rubber ball, and then the Chinese played it in the 3rd century BC. The earliest confirmed version of soccer, though, was called folkball. It was played in 13th century England. It was a very violent sport, and that's why it got banned in England until the 1800s. And then once it got reintroduced, it caused the Football Association to be formed, and then soccer and rugby became 2 separate sports, and then touching the ball with your hands became illegal. Pro soccer was established in the mid-1850s. The earliest soccer leagues were invented because of the Industrial Revolution, and railroads allowed teams to travel to play each other. And then the first official soccer league was established in England in 1888. Now that you've learned about the history of soccer, let's look at where the game is at now. Soccer is a very different game today than it was back then. Firstly, many more pro teams exist now. There are 211 pro leagues around the world with 4,400 pro teams and more than 120,000 pro players. Players now are better than ever before. The skill level was very low back when soccer was first created, but over time players have had access to higher level of training, which has led to jump in the skill level of pro soccer. And then number 3, rise in player transfers has allowed for more competitiveness. These days, teams have a lot of money to pay millions of dollars to have the best possible players on their team. And then this leads to clubs making a lot of money off these transfers, which was unheard of when the sport was first established. And right now, soccer is more focused on money. Now that I've told you about what soccer looks like today, let's look at the impact it has on society. Soccer has an immense global impact. The TV viewership is massive. The World Cup is the most extensively viewed sporting program in the entire world. Almost 20% of the world's population watched the 2022 World Cup final. This leads to massive TV deals and tons of money. People are passionate about their teams. After Argentina won the 2022 World Cup, 4 million Argentinians were in the streets of Buenos Aires celebrating the championship. Stadiums with tens of thousands of seats are regularly sold out, which creates a lot of financial gain for the teams involved. Lastly, many children play soccer around the world. According to the U.S. Youth Soccer Association, approximately 3 million children between 5 and 19 play organized soccer in the U.S. alone. Many more children play in other countries or play unorganized soccer, so the number is probably much higher. This shows that the sport is growing around the world. Now that you've learned about the global impact of soccer, let's go over what I've told you today. I've told you about 3 aspects of soccer: the history, what it looks like today, and the impact it has on society. So when your friend or family member wants to talk about soccer, just remember how it started, what it's like now, and how it affects people.